Good afternoon, guys. So I'm going to be talking about the fog today. Now, I want to caveat this, and I want to be quite clear. When you guys were sending me messages saying, Sean, what do you think about this fog? What do you think about this fog? I'll be honest with you. Like when I first looked out the window, I thought it's thick fog. We get that from time to time. But then the more I looked into it and the more of the articles you guys were sending me, I started to think, well, hang on a minute. This does seem like more than fog. Now, if we look what's been happening recently with the drones, now with this fog, I'm gonna share some videos with you guys. So let me know what you think about the videos. Now I'm gonna give you my opinion on what this is. I'm gonna also be referring to an article that was released in 1997 called it's a PDF article. I'll show you the title of it. You guys can search for it yourself. But all the other a lot of the other links I will put in the description. But I'm going to be going now off a lot of open source social media accounts. Because if this is some sort of government conspiracy or something, then there's obviously nothing going to be in the mainstream media about this. Now, when I've spoke about this before, I've had to use a code word as Ribena. So I'm just going to use that again. I don't know if the video would get flagged if I did use some sort of other words, but I'm going to use a code word of Ribena and Ribena particles. So before we go on, a lot of people have been saying that they're getting sick from this fog and it's being used to put something inside them. Some sort of Ribena particles have been suspended in the fog and people are breathing it in. Now, I'm going to give you my thoughts on that at the end. But first, let's just watch a couple of videos, what people are reporting around the world, and then I will give commentary on this. So I'm going to try and do this with the sound on as well. Hang on. Yeah, here we are. This is the first one. Sound on.
FogVid24 is a real thing. The previous video is going viral. If you go and read the comment section, everybody's saying they were completely fine. They didn't feel anything coming on. But then as soon as they went out in this fog, whatever it is, they got a sore throat. They had to go to bed. They couldn't sleep. They were bunged up. They had migraines. They lost all their energy. And not only them, everyone in the household. There's mums reporting on it saying all the kids are ill. We've got people in Kentucky. We've got people in Sweden. We've got people in Finland, all reporting the same thing.
So what I'm going to say on this just quickly before we continue with this video. When I've been doing the live streams in the morning at nighttime, a lot of people have been saying they've got these symptoms. Now, the thing that perked me up is when I said our eldest daughter, she got poorly and then she had a really bad ear. And I said, I put it out on the live stream and I said, has anybody else had this thing with the ear? And the amount of people who are getting back to me and saying, yeah, we had flu-like symptoms and we had earache. Now, all I'm saying is, like, you know, there's a lot of people reporting this earache thing. Now, if it was just flu-like symptoms, I'd be like, yeah, it's the season. But it's this earache thing. I mean, this guy's not talking about it here. But, you know, the earache thing really perked up my my thoughts on this.
The fog has made them sick. And, you know, it's scenarios like this that always have an adverse effect. Whatever they're doing in the skies, whatever they're spraying, whatever this fog is, they're obviously doing it for a reason, but it is going to wake people up. People have had enough. They're sick of being poked. They're sick of being prodded. They're sick of poison in the air and poison in the food, poison in the milk, poison in the minds. We're being pummeled in more ways we can imagine to demoralise us over a period of time. So when things get to a critical point and everyone's screaming out for a saviour, the government's going to be there. But they were the ones that created the problem in the first place.
So, hang on, let's stop this. So he's just talking about, you know, there's a lot of people now talking about this fog, talking about the adverse conditions of this fog. And it's not just in the United Kingdom. It's all over the world. And like, I'm really starting to see something about it. And guys, I am going to come on to what I think it is, but let's watch another video quickly. Yeah. So, oh my God, check your HVAC. So that would be heating, ventilation, and air conditioning for those of you guys who live in the United Kingdom and we don't have HVAC.
I look like shit, but I need to show you guys my air filter in my house. There's fog everywhere, and I've been feeling like respiratory issues for like a couple days now, like basically since the fog started. And I decided after seeing all the fog videos on TikTok, I would come and change my filter, which I do every month because I keep them on deck.
So I don't know if you can hear what she's saying, but she's saying, you know, there's all these fog videos online and all these fog videos circulating. And what she's saying is she decided to come outside and change the filter on her HVAC system. In America, they have heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. In the UK, we don't really have air conditioning. You know, I feel like we should sometimes, one for that one day a year. But she's come outside to change her air filter, and this is what she's found.
I've like, ooh, Lord, I have like 8 of these and they're expensive, but I keep them on deck because I like clean air. This is a new one. Let me show you what my new one looks like. This is a new one, okay?
So this is what they should look like.
It's a MERV 11 filter. Now, keep in mind, I just changed this filter like a month ago. Let me show you the one that I'm about to pull out. What in the actual fuck? Look at this filter, y'all. I've never pulled out a filter this dark in my life. This is not normal. It's black. Look at the new one. Oh my God, y'all. Oh my God. This is fucking crazy. I'm sorry.
So you could argue that this has got nothing to do with the fog. But when I used to work in the Middle East, and I can probably tell you the type of HVAC system she's got as well. But when I used to work in the Middle East, we did used to have HVAC systems. And in a month, they should not get that dirty. In a month, not a chance they should get that dirty. You know, like that would be like maybe 6 months having it on full. But they shouldn't get that dirty. That's what I'm trying to get across here. This is obviously really dirty. Now, obviously, we've got no way of independently verifying what she's saying. This could be a filter from 12 months ago.
This isn't normal, yo. It's not normal. This fog is not normal. This is not normal.
So she's saying there, guys, you know, the fog's not normal, the situation's not normal, and everything's not normal. Now, there's so many people reporting on this now. There's so many people putting out videos talking about this. There's so many people saying, listen, you know, the fog that we're witnessing now, it's just not normal. It's something different. It shouldn't be. Fog should not be like this. I think this will be the final one I'm going to show you now, guys. Okay. And again, the fog that I'm going to show you now, this is pretty much the same type of fog that was in the UK for like maybe, I don't know. It was there for like 2, 3, maybe 4 days. Yeah, this one. So this is like the fog that we had in the UK. And and again, if it was just in the UK, if it was just in isolated parts, yeah, fair enough. It's just fog. But this is all over the world now.
Like, this is fucked up. It smells.
Do you know what, actually, guys? I'm going to say the fog in the UK, certainly where we was, I'm going to say the fog in the UK was a bit worse than this.
Can't see shit. This is fucked
Yeah,
up.
just look at the density. Look, hang on, can I go back? I want to. There. Look at that light. Like I mean, you'd think that was an orb. You can't see what that is. Like that is not normal.
It smells.
So what can we make of this then? You know, what can we make of this? What's the application? What's the reason? What's the why is it happening and why is it happening now? So I did a little bit of digging and I found this. I found an article called. Well, I'll share the article with you now. It's called. Well, what's it called? You can search for this yourself, guys, okay? Well. I should have. Right, it's called Benign Weather Modifications by Barry B. Coble, Major U.S. Air Force. And this was released in, academic year 95 to 96. Sorry, I thought it was 97. Sorry, my mistake. Oh, but it was released in March 90. Right, okay. Right, it was written 95 to 96, but it was released in 97. So we go down then, and obviously you can search this article yourself. I can't actually put the PDF in the link in the description, but what I will do is, obviously you've got the name of it. I'll try and, if I can remember, I'll try and give it you guys again before we leave this video, and then you guys can search for that yourself and look at it yourself. So just quickly here, the history of weather modification by the military is checkered, to say the least. Initial interest by the U.S. Department of Defense goes back to the late 1940s. So pretty much at the end of the Second World War, we were talking about, weather manipulation. So let's go down to page 8. Is that 6, 7? Here we are. Weather modifications. Can I make this bigger? Yes. All right. So obviously the whole article is really interesting to read, and there's a lot of information out here, but this is what I'm going to go for this bit, guys, and then I'm going to talk about what I think is happening with this fog. Weather modifications, weather modification methods. Modification of weather can occur in a number of ways. And obviously this was released in 1997. So I would speculate that the technology and the capacity has increased exponentially with the introduction of drones. It can occur in a number of ways. Altering the available solar energy by introducing material to absorb or reflect sunshine. Adding heat to the atmosphere by artificial means from the surface. So I've been saying this, like ground-based lasers. Nobody talks about ground-based lasers, but they're a real thing. Altering air motion by artificial means. Influencing humidity by increasing or retarding evaporation. That's the one I want to focus on, guys, okay? Increasing or retarding evaporation, and changing the process by which clouds form and causing precipitation by using chemicals or inserting additional water to the clouds. So there we've got the main jux of the ways we can modify weather. So why would we do that then? Why would we want to modify the weather? What strategic benefit do we have to modify the weather? Well, militarily, it's a fantastic, like if you can control fog, and I want to focus this on fog, guys. Obviously, you've got rain, sleet, snow, heat, evaporation, all that sort of stuff. But I want to focus on fog. Otherwise, we'll be here all day with the video. So fog. We're talking about the fog. So fog, first of all, if you know that the bad guys are in a trench system, you can go cover that trench system with fog. You can then approach those bad guys unseen. Not only are they unseen on a lateral plane, but they're also unseen from the air. So you can fly things above them and they have limited view. Also, use it if you're in thick fog. Lasers are pretty much useless. Thermal, infrared, a lot of sophisticated sensors become useless in heavy fog. They just don't work. So straight away, you've taken eyes and ear. Well, you've certainly taken eyes away from your enemy. Then, if you want to add in the Brucey bonus of, you know what I said before, using the code words, the Ribena. If you want to put the Ribena droplets then into that fog and saturate that fog with those Ribena particles, those enemy soldiers are going to breathe in those Ribena particles, and then they will have that whatever effect those Ribena particles have. Now, when I was in the military, we did a lot of chemical and biological nuclear warfare training. And one of the things that, was quite clear is the these systems that disperse things into the air, they're not that effective on a practical battlefield because there's wind, there's air currents, people move positions, so they're not really that practical. So a good way to make sure that you was getting the maximum potency out of those Ribena droplets would be to move it in fog and move it over the bad guys in whatever context you wanted that. So that's kind of how you would use fog. And then, of course, you can have that fog that dissipates in, I don't know, 12 hours. So you know that in 12 hours that fog's going to go, so your troops can move into it, and they're not going to have any of those problems. So what do I think's happening now, and what do I think is happening now, and why now? Well, kind of leads us back onto the drones. Remember what I said about the drones and why they're happening. If you've not seen that, guys, go and check out my video. It's like somewhere. I'll try and link it at the end or something. So I said the drones were the US military practicing their systems for when they go and invade Iran around about March 2026. They're going to need to use drones as reconnaissance on that south coast. So now if you just put a pair of glasses on that looks at all roads leading to a global conflict of an industrial scale, it would be a huge asset for whoever could control this fog to be able to use that against against the Russians. Now, I don't think that this fog has any sort of droplets in it or Ribena in it. I think that if this is something government sponsored, I would say the government are sponsoring this to look at how that fog reacts in a general population. Does it have any adverse, do the chemicals in that fog have any adverse effects on the population? I don't think they'll have put anything in it intentionally. I think they'll have tested this on animals, and everything will be above board, but they will need some sort of testing ground. How does it react with vehicles driving through it? Do the chemicals in vehicles, do they disperse the fog? Do they leave any trail? All sorts of stuff. And they're going to need to do this on a population. How does it linger in and around buildings? What are the sensor readings? Can internet, Wi-Fi, 5G still get through this fog? And does it have any adverse effects? They're going to want to look at all this stuff. That's, if anything, that's what I think the fog is, guys. Okay. Now, I wouldn't have normally said that, but the only reason I'm saying this is because this fog has been reported all over, in so many different places all over the world, all at once, correlation's not causation, but if, there's no smoke without fire. So I'm going to say and it's a big if this is something to do with the government, I would say they're testing this fog to go before they go and have because they know the war's coming and they need to test this in a real world situation. They need to test how this works before they move into potentially using this in Ukraine. And this would be a fantastic method of operation in that particular Ukrainian conflict, because there's already a lot of moisture in the air. There's already that weather system that will be very easy to bring clouds down. And bringing clouds down, it's one of the easier things to do. If you guys go and check out that article, but remember when we said influencing the humidity by increasing or retarding evaporation. So that's kind of the same lines we're on. But what you would do is you would make the cloud heavy. And then you would, rather than make it rain, you would just put whatever chemicals you need to put in that cloud to make it heavy, but not rain. And, you don't even need to make it rain as such. You just need to make it, you don't even need to make it particularly heavy. You just need to stop it raining. So whatever chemicals they would put in the normal cloud to make them, come down because they're too heavy, that's what they'd put in. And we know this happens naturally anyway, because we naturally get fog anyway. So we know it can happen. We know that that the governments are doing weather manipulation, and we know that this is a thing. So to create a fog or a fogging effect, it's not one of the difficult things to do. I would say that technology is well understood and well documented. Now, if you guys want to go and look at the PDF yourself, it's called Benign Weather Modifications, and it's by Barry B. Coble who was a major in the US Air Force, School of Advanced Air Power Studies. That's benign weather modifications. If you do a search for that and put PDF at the side of it, you'll get it. So that is kind of the jux of it, guys. That's what I want. I just wanted to weigh in on this weather stuff, on this fog. I know that the stuff's going crazy on social media and stuff, so I just wanted to tell you guys what I thought it is. I don't think it's governments trying to poison people. I don't think it's something overly aggressive. I just think the government will, if they're looking, if we're all moving towards a global conflict on an industrial scale, we're going to need to test these asymmetric systems, these non-conventional systems. We're going to need to test them in real world scenarios. Now, the best place we can gather data is our own country. Like if let's just say this is the British government, because we definitely had fog in Britain. Let's just say this is the British government and they need to get the test results from that fog. Like if they go and do that in the east of Ukraine, how are they going to get a sufficient, competent, realistic understanding of how that affects everything? How are they going to get those sensor readings if they test it in another country? They're not. So I think they're testing it in their own country so they can get all those readings, they can understand it, and they can manage it. And this is going to be used for a subsequent combat operations in Ukraine. I do think the fog is for Ukraine, although it may be used in Iran, it may be used somewhere else in the world. But I do think this is the military testing their own equipment. Anyway, guys, that's what I think about the fog. I'm going to back to grid. I'll get you guys another video later.